In New York, protests are continuing against plans to close and replace half the teachers at dozens of so-called failing schools. 18-year-old student organizer Xavier Daniels addressed a packed auditorium full of community members and representatives of the Department of Education.
This simple and linear approach to education reform is sinking underneath the weight of its own flaws. Educational improvement is not accomplished through administrative or legislative mandate. Educational improvement is only accomplished through attention to the complicated, idiosyncratic, and also paradoxical and difficult nature to measure nature of learning. How can we expect to produce revolutionary minds that shape the structure of our foundation, such as Martin Luther King or Linus Pauling, if the very foundation that is responsible for shaping the minds of our youth is utterly corrupted? And so I turn to the future leaders of the world. It is up to you to rise up and say, we are not your experimental test subjects. We are the essence. We are the essence of biological and psychological complexity. We are not bound by instinctive nature. We are free to feel and think as we please. We are a fast and ever-evolving people of innovative and revolutionary minds. We are humans, and I think it's time you start treating us as such.
Daniels was among hundreds that took part in the April 2nd public hearing at his school, Lehman High. It's one of the 26 schools slated to be closed and turned around, meaning firing up to half the staff and reopening under a new name in the fall. Firing half the teachers at so-called failing schools like Lehman is necessary in order for school districts to qualify for millions of dollars in federal school improvement grants from the Obama administration. But many, including Lehman teacher James McSherry, who graduated from Lehman in 1980 and has taught there for over 2 decades, sees the move as part of a broader attack on the teaching profession.
It's not about educational reform, it's what's cost effective. And what's cost effective is not in the best interest of our students. Okay? I think I have a right to speak. And you know, my daughter goes to public school. I lived in this community my whole life. I served this school for 25 years. And I think we're being dismissed. Teachers are being vilified, okay? And it's about time for us to stand up and say, listen, we've had enough. Enough is enough. That's it.
The hearing at Lehman lasted for over 4 hours, and not a single person voiced support for the city's plan. Protests continued at hearings throughout the week, and on April 5th, dozens took part in a student-led march and rally at City Hall. Parent organizer Zakia Ansari says she opposes their turnarounds because they don't have a track record of success.
Not only is it an extremely expensive model, it would cost $60 million to replace the staff that's going to, firing half the staff. But I think the real key thing is not only that it's not one bit of research that shows that this turnaround model is a successful model, that firing half the staff in a school is going to be successful and ensure that children are academically ready for college.
Also speaking out was Juan Pagan. He's a parent of a student at Legacy High School, among the 24 schools the city wants to close, in addition to the turnarounds. After meeting with state officials about the city's plans, he was told they were powerless to intervene under a state law putting the city's schools under full control of the mayor.
A week ago, a group of parents and myself, we went up to Albany to the New York State Education Department, and we did set up a meeting with Commissioner John B. King, Commissioner of Education, and we explained to him not just our personal stories, but overall how all this is having an ill effect upon our children. And he was very receptive, but he did say that there is a law that does give Mayor Bloomberg absolute control, total control, and that until that law is repealed, that the mayor will have total control, and that basically what he was telling us, that there's not much that they can do.
While the city's teachers local, the United Federation of Teachers, opposes the plan, its support for mayoral control and perceived lack of resources directed at organizing teachers and parents and students has left many feeling frustrated, including teacher Mark Torres.
We need the schools, for the staff, the teachers, the kids, the parents, the community come together and organize. And the problem is that the UFT administration is not going to help in that process. they're going to hinder that process. And so we have to do it ourselves.
Students, parents, and teachers vow to continue opposing the plans to close schools in New York, have planned citywide demonstrations for April 19th as well as April 26th, the day the Department of Education will vote on whether to turn around the 26 schools. Reporting for The Real News, this is Jessel Noor in New York.